Welcome back to my channel, everyone. My name is Kaylina and I am the Hex Witch, and today we're going to be talking about new moon and full moon rituals, as well as the new moon diary that just came out for 2023. So I like to participate with the new moon and the full moon just because I think it helps me stay on track for the week, for the month, kind of gives me certain things to focus on. And how I like to do that is I like to go by the Moonology diary. This one was from 2022 by Yasmin Boland. I really like how she lays out these diaries. They have a lot of good information. They have all the different house information, as well as like what each house focuses on. So when new moon, full moon comes around, or you're trying to think about what you need to focus on for those couple weeks, depending on your rising sign or your sun sign, it gives you the list right here of the stuff that you should be focusing on. And each one covers different things from like your appearance, self-image, which is usually in your first house, cash, property, and possessions, second house, communication, siblings, neighbors, quick trips are in your third house usually. The fourth involves home and family, all things domestic and where you belong, as well as your past. Fifth house is all about romance and creativity, as well as kids fit under there, in pursuit of pleasures and love affairs. Sixth is your daily routines, including at work, your health, and your duties. The seventh house involves your lovers, your spouse, and your ex, open enemies, any sort of partner, including business partners, cooperation, competition. The eighth house is joint finances, credit cards, debt, sex, anything you consider taboo, inheritance, and transformation. The ninth house has dreams, as well as study, travel, the search for meaning, and to understand life, higher learning, and spirituality. The 10th house is involving your career and your ambitions, how you mark on the world and what you're known for. Your 11th house is friends, networks, social circles, the internet, hopes, and wishes. And your 12th house is your deepest, darkest, most secretive parts of your chart, your fears, your spirituality, self-undoing, withdrawal, and secret or hidden enemies. So depending on where your astrological signs are at that point in time, those are different things you may be focusing on. And so I followed this all the way through, surprisingly, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year, did the different journal prompts for each new and full moon. And so this year, she of course came out with her Moonology Diary 2023, which looks like this. Pretty much looks very similar, just a little bit different color. But this one I've already kind of looked through, and this one looks like it goes into even more like detail and in-depth information, which I think I'm gonna like. And as well as it doesn't just do things for like the monthly full moon and the new moon, but it also gives you things to kind of focus on like every single week, which I think will really help keep me on track, because sometimes it's when you get caught up in life, it's just hard to remember, oh, the new moon's tonight. Oh, the full moon's tonight. Oh, I set these goals, but I completely forgot about them. So this literally goes week by week, as well as it lets you kind of know what's going on in astrology, like what houses are going where, and what signs are different places. And as you can tell probably by my speaking, I like astrology, but I'm not super like in depth into it. I know my astrology chart, and that's about it. So I'm very interested in it, but it's also very complicated. So, but this one has a quick guide to the houses as well. Let's see. As well as like details of like the full moon in each house and the new moon in each house, and like what that means, which is kind of nice too, because some of these things you don't know. Like, it's nice to know them, but unless you have kind of an expert setting it out and telling you, I wouldn't know these things. So But just like in the other one, it kind of has like, what's your biggest goal? That's usually what you do for new moons, is you set your intentions, what you want to come to fruition. And then on the full moon is when you kind of see if you're on the right path. And it's also when you tend to let things go that aren't serving you, as well as kind of focus on forgiveness. And so it also has the different like eclipses and stuff as well, and kind of like prompts that you should maybe focus on. Like this month, I will rest, review 2022, or make some plans for 2023. Or the full moon in Cancer, you should work on forgiveness and moving on, making peace and saying sorry when you need to. So this book looks very comprehensive. It looks like it's not only that, it for each day it tells you where the moon is at, like what zodiac signs it's in and what phase it's in, which is really nice. And in this one, it looks like she's even broken it down into literally each week, so which is kind of hard to see, but like Monday 30th all the way through Sunday the 5th, gives you the different times of when the full moon is, different things that are going on that week, like if there's any festivals such as Imbolc or Lammas, and depending on which hemisphere you're in. And she also includes like affirmations of the week, which is really cool because it just gives you little things to focus on throughout the week. So I'm pretty excited about this year's Moonology diary. I think it's going to be really nice to have this again for this year, especially now that I've had 1 year under my belt and I kind of know what I'm doing. So onward. I kind of want to talk about like what I like to do for full moons and new moons, because I know everybody's a little bit different, and I'm sure you hear different things depending on who you're listening to. But the new moon and the full moon and like the different tools that you can utilize during each one. And so the new moon is about setting your intentions. I personally like to do shadow work during the new moon just because it's completely dark, and for me that just symbolizes kind of working with the darkness and working with maybe parts of us that we don't always want to face. It's also when you're making intentions, you kind of want to focus on the things that you personally want to work on. And it's not a bad thing. Shadow work can seem really scary, but it's just about, acknowledging that you're not perfect, and that's perfectly okay. And just thinking about the things that you want to work on for the upcoming weeks. So I like to throw a little bit of shadow work in there, and just think about the different things that maybe I'm falling a little bit short on. The full moon is all about like letting go of things that are no longer serving you, letting go of grudges, letting go of anything that is not for your greater good. It also falls under forgiveness of yourself, forgiveness of others, and just moving forward in a more positive direction. So for the new moon, I typically like to charge my crystals, and some different crystals that I like to utilize during the new moon is like quartz, moonstone, labradorite, amethyst, selenite, citrine, rose quartz, and carnelian. The big ones that I really utilize out of that list is probably quartz and moonstone. Sometimes citrine. It just seems like citrine and me, it's only on certain bases that I feel like super drawn to citrine, as well as rose quartz. But rose quartz is really good for self-love and just love in general, which is nice if you're working with your shadow self to remind yourself to love yourself as well. I also do a monthly intentions board. So I have this big board over here. it's decorated with all my Disney pins that I've collected. I also have like the list of books that I've been reading. If I finish a book, I write it down and I track that throughout the whole year. And then I also have paper that lists 1 through 30 or 1 through 31, and I write down if I have anything coming up on certain days. That way, with my scatterbrained brain, I always have a paper copy to come back to, because I'm not always the best at putting things in my phone, even though I should be at this point, but I'm kind of an old soul and I like paper. So I do that. I also have kind of my list of things that I do like on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, and on like a monthly basis. So, for instance, on a daily basis, I like to wash my face. I like to take care of my ferrets. I like to, you know, I don't know, make sure the dishes are clean, stuff like that. Monthly basis is obviously like bills and um, what else do I have on there? My new moon rituals, my monthly tarot that I like to do. So, and then, on a weekly basis, I make sure I maybe clean the car, maybe wash my dogs, because for some reason I have the smelliest dogs on the planet, um, as well as like laundry and, you know, stuff, boring stuff like that. So I have that, and then I also do like a monthly goal list of like 10 things that I kind of want to focus on, or things that I want to achieve. So almost always on there, I say read a couple books, just because I love to read and I love to stay knowledgeable on things. And so it's always read a couple books. It's always maybe establish a good exercise plan, or find healthy ways to continue to grow my relationships with people, or try to keep a more positive attitude on certain things, or swim 3 days a week, stuff like that. Just, they don't have to be super huge goals, but just goals that you want to focus on for the month. And by writing them down and hanging them somewhere that you can see every day, it's a constant reminder that those are the things that you really are wanting to work on. And new moons are all about setting your intentions. And so I like to do this right before the full moon every month, and just set those intentions for the month. And then at the end of the month, I like to kind of go through and see which ones I really did a good job with, and then ones that maybe I kind of slacked off on throughout the month. And not to be hard on yourself, but like just to take in what you've accomplished for that month, as well as things that maybe you need to move over to the next month. So I definitely like doing that. I also like doing just a maybe house cleansing, maybe if I feel like it needs it. I actually do like to do it more on the full moon, since the full moon is all about forgiveness and release. I like to release any negativity that's built up in the house, or release any negative energies that I just feel like are lingering around. Or I can definitely feel like when the house starts to get heavy and it just needs a good uplifting cleansing. So if it needs it at the beginning of the month, I'll do just a lighter one, go through the house with bells and smoke cleansing and just some intentions and pure willpower, and just go around everywhere and kind of cleanse the space. Then I'll, open the windows up to allow it to all leave, because if you don't give it somewhere to go, it's just going to end up settling in the same places. So I'll do that. My favorite things to do during full moons and new moons are a tarot read. Sometimes I'll look on the internet to just find one that someone's created, or sometimes I will just have very certain questions that I would like to know. And I have a really awesome deck that I love to use for this. This deck and me have connected pretty well. I think this is like maybe the third deck I got, but Um, it's the Austera Tarot. And these images are just, like, to be honest, like, most of the time, this kind of style would not exactly be, like, my first choice. But for some reason, the imagery is really pretty. Like, some of these images are kind of creepy, and then some of them are just really beautiful. So, like, that, the Lovers. So it's very kind of, it's obviously definitely got a witchy vibe. And it's kind of cool because there's 4 different women who did this deck, and each one of them took the different, like, suits. So, like, the swords, the pentacles. Why am I blanking on the other 2? Anyway, they each took one on, and so they're all very similar in nature, but yet they've got a little bit of differences to them. And this deck is honest with me. It's very brutally honest with me at times, which I need. I need something that's from my higher self that is honest and isn't going to sugarcoat things. And this deck does not do that. It can seem a little harsh at times, but it definitely opens your eyes up to things that I need to work on or focus on for the upcoming month. So I definitely love doing tarot cards. I usually only do like 5 or 6 questions. I don't want to, ask a bazillion questions, because then I'm not going to be able to focus on them throughout the month. So, and with that being said, after the tarot, I kind of journal it all down and then kind of meditate on it. Tarot is very open to interpretation, so just because what the card says, you may feel like it's relating to something else, and sometimes you have to just use your gut instinct on it. And so, and then sometimes I'll do a candle spell, because candle spells are one of my favorite kinds of magic to work with. It's it's quick, it's easy. I feel like it does the job well. I feel like I get answers from it, especially since I'm starting to try to study candle magic a little bit better. The way it drips, the way the smoke is, all of that can tell you things about how your spell is going and what you may expect the outcome to be. And then for full moon, I, of course, again, like to charge crystals. These I like to focus on, like, the negative energy crystals that tend to absorb a lot of the negative energy. So, like, tourmaline, onyx, smoky quartz. Smoky quartz is one of my absolute favorite crystals. It's a very protective crystal, but at the same time, its energy is a little bit more low key. So it's not like this pulsing, like, rage that you get with some of the other ones that are more protective, so to speak. So I'll cleanse those, just because full moons are once again about letting go. So I feel like a full moon will kind of release all of the negative energy that those crystals have been bringing in. You also, I feel like you do have to be somewhat careful with the full moon, though, as well, because that energy can be pretty chaotic as well. So even though, I feel like there's certain times the full moon will kind of get to me, but other times I feel like most of the time I'm okay with it. But I've seen some people get kind of crazy around the full moon, and I definitely feel like there's something to that. The energy is it's just off. It's off. And so, but just setting very specific intentions for what you want the new moon to do for you, I think, is helpful. This is the one that I do more of the in-depth house cleaning. So I will do the sound healing, I will do the smoke cleansing, I will do the protective sigils on every window in the house, and then open up the windows to allow all the negative energy to leave. And I can feel a significant difference when I do this. When I feel like the house just starts feeling kind of stale or a little bit heavy, because I live with a couple people that do battle depression at times, and I myself have some anxiety. So sometimes the tensions are high in this house. And so it's just nice to clear it all out. And I feel a difference. I really do. I like to do rosemary. Sometimes I also like to do citrusy stuff. Sometimes when I get into the sages and things, I have a very sensitive smell. So there's certain herbs that are just a little bit too intense to be wafting through the entire house. But rosemary is usually okay. I also absolutely love pine. And I don't know why. I just love the scent of pine. And for some reason, that just feels very, I don't know, fresh to me. Like fresh start, fresh energy. So I like to use pine. Um, I also like to do bath rituals on full moons. I don't know why the full moon, but I just like to do bath rituals. And sometimes I'll put herbs, other times most of the time, just do Epsom salt. I think full moons, I also just like to do focus on self care. So I like to maybe do some face masks. I like to do my baths. I like to do Epsom salts. I like to do maybe some stretching, just self care and healing energy and letting go anything that maybe, I'm holding on to. So I like to do that. And then, of course, I like to do another tarot reading because why not? One for towards the beginning and one towards the middle into the end. So I will do that, journal, and meditate. So those are kind of the things that I really enjoy doing on the new and full moons. I'm looking forward to this year, a new start, setting those intentions. I just suggest taking it a step at a time. Everybody loves to do New Year's resolutions, and I don't know why we only do them on New Year's, and then we pretty much forget about them after January. So just doing small goals, like on a monthly basis, I feel like is so much more easy to achieve than setting these huge goals just at the beginning of the year and then falling off, becoming agitated because they're not working or we forget to do them, a couple weeks in a row, and then we just kind of give up. So just take it easy on yourself, and small steps achieve greatness. And so that's all I've got for you. And if you like the video, comment down in the description, give it a like or subscribe. Also, let me know what you guys do for, sorry, losing my voice there, for new and full moons. I would be really interested to know. I'm always looking for new ideas to incorporate into my practice. So let me know what you do. And until next time, stay happy and healthy, and I will see you later.